Hey y'all, this is Judith of Judith Tamara, design judithtamara.com. I'm doing a pop-up spontaneous reading. I've gotten this since the last 2 days, yesterday and today, that it'd be good time to do a reading just about what's going on right now and how that's affecting your space. So here it is. First card is called Gateways. And the second card, this is the fun name, is called Orgasm. That's right, Orgasm. It's actually labeled Climax on the card in case I'm doing a reading with someone who would get too upset by the word orgasm, but I'm going to assume everyone's cool with that. So it was interesting. I was like, why do I want to do a reading right now? What is going on? It's not a full moon, a new moon. There's always some astrological thing going on that I could blame things on. But really what I got the sense of was it's a transition time. And it's sort of externally marked by the fall, entering into the fall equinox is this weekend. But it was sort of a bigger sense of like it's a transition time between gateways, this old reality and a new reality. Not to sound too groovy about everything, but you know, we are groovy. So gateways is about that, is about moving from one reality to another reality. It's a 7 card, 7 of cues, 7 of qualities. All the 7 cards in the deck have to do with separation of spaces, separation of objects, contrast between objects, being able to tell where one thing ends and another thing begins. In gateways, the card in general, I consider, I call it my We're Not in Kansas Anymore Toto card. To varying degrees, it can have to do with the experience of stepping into a fundamentally or foundationally different quality of environment. Okay, so that's the first card that I pulled. The second card, Orgasm. I don't know if you can see what's on there. It's a woman clutching a house, which is blowing up around her or inside of her. The house is right through here, and she's looking kind of happy in an orgasmic kind of way. And this card is about moving beyond the previous space. So in terms of the physical body, it's about the experience of our energy expanding or becoming bigger, but the physical body itself is still not smaller, but it's what it was before. So this is kind of a blowing off the doors kind of an experience. The physical body, whether it's a house or a structure of an educational system or a program, any sort of environment, relationships, there's a sense that all of a sudden there is more energy in it than there was before. More energy that is being generated, more energy that's coming through. It's a source card. It's 9 of source, which is the 9 always has to do with getting bigger, and source has to do with the generation of energy. And it has to do with there's more energy coming through than the previous physical house contained before. And the reaction, the result is that sometimes you feel like you're uncontained, your things are blowing apart a little bit, not necessarily, but more like you're bigger than you were a second ago, or the program is bigger, or the energy is bigger than it was a second ago. All of the 9s tend to talk about opportunities and possibilities and, you know, expansion in that fully taking up space kind of a way. And so what orgasm can often mean is that there's a spike, or that there is a temporary blowing off, and then you're dealing with the repercussions. But because it is combined with gateways, The sense is actually that we are, this transition time, that we are stepping into a bigger energy in general, us being a bigger energy in general. And this can be, this is going to manifest in different ways for different people, right? It's always true for all cards. Some people may experience this as all of a sudden a huge number of opportunities are coming their way and they can feel a little overwhelmed, for example. The image that I got was, you know, if you have just published a book, for example, and you've done all the physical things needed to publicize the book and so forth and so on. You've done the things, the physical things that you can do in order to make this book a success. But you're still, you know, you still don't have control over whether it becomes a runaway success or not. That is out into the world. That is something that it's like you have created the book, you have done what you can with the book, and now you have opened it up to its own process, its own energy, and it may blow up and do really, really well. That's a really positive experience of orgasm, and yet it could still be overwhelming. You might still be like, what do I do now, right? Another version that might be more challenging is if you're in a relationship, for example, and this card comes up, it may be that you are suddenly stepping into a bigger sense of your power, but the relationship's not able to hold it, if that makes sense. So it's threatening to your partner, it's confusing to how you have done things before. You need to let go of old ways of doing things, and the partner or the previous relationship structure isn't going to keep up with that. So that's another experience of orgasm, blowing off the doors a bit. You know, what do you do, right? So this is the thing. So when I see these two cards together, what it is to me is that as a collective right now, as people listening to this, we are all transitioning into a situation, a reality in which more energy is coming up through us. We are stepping into a bigger part of us that is going to blow off the doors a little bit on the previous way of us doing things. So the important thing to remember with this, with orgasm, is that as humans, because we love the familiar and we love sense of like order and containment on a certain level, there is a temptation to go running around trying to contain this, like to build a bigger house or to put it back in to the previous house, all that sort of a thing, and resist that. Resist it. It's going to be really tempting to try to make it normal. And the way that I think of it is that, you know, eventually there will be a containment or a house that can accommodate this, but it's going to take time. And really where we are at with this experience is either we just take it in and experience it, or if we're taking action, if it does need some sort of support moving forward, for example, in a relationship, you might be saying, oh, well, there are some actions that I need to take under this situation to make it, to sustain and hold this energy. We are at the stage of like measuring the body, not like making the clothes for it. We are like, oh, how broad is this with the measuring tape? This is what this is. This is a measuring tape. I was a seamstress for a long time. So how broad are the shoulders? How long is the back? What is the bust? What is the waist? That sort of like a big picture kind of structure of things. Not, oh my God, I have to get all the details knit down, right? It's not, we're not putting on buttons yet. We're not even cutting the cloth. So we're like taking sort of stock of like, that's really big. Wow, okay. that's the kind of level of cloth I need. So how that might translation in real terms, because we're not actually measuring people's shoulders, might be like, say you got the book published, right? What are the 2 or 3 actions that sort of touch the broader points of what you need to do to sustain that? So it's not necessarily going to be like create an entire mailing campaign. It might be more like, who can I connect with right now who's going to give me really good advice? That's a big picture kind of an approach. It's not, we're not at that details. How can I get support for, you know, the processing of this energy in my body? That might be a really big picture approach. What 5 things do I envision this to be in like 3 months down the road? That is a bigger picture approach. That's the sort of thing that this transition is really good for, especially in the next like week and a half. Week is what I'm hearing. So let me think if there are other things. In terms of your environment, like your physical office environment, if you're making a change, if this sort of opportunity has come up to you, or this, you know, has happened in a relationship or any other place where you are stepping into a bigger power, really, the kind of changes you make in your physical environment to support that are, you're not trying to get all the details down. It might be that this is a good time to make a change to getting a desk that you really, really dig right now. My kids always give me a hard time for saying dig. Mom, nobody says dig anymore. Something that feels really rockingly good for you, you know, that kind of investment, but you're not changing, you know, the things on your desk. You're not collecting things. You're not even decluttering. It's not any of the detail work that you're doing right now. It could be something like you have been thinking about painting the room. This might be a really good time to do that. That's a sort of a big picture move. So you kind of get the idea. It's like you're not getting into like the nitty gritty, but often these things that are the changes that you have made, or that you should make, or that you have been making, they're based on things that you've been thinking about for a while. So it's not just like, you know, all of a sudden I've decided I want a desk. It's been like, in whether consciously or unconsciously, you have been ruminating about it for a while. That is another aspect of the card orgasm, which is that it has to do with a lot of actions that have happened previously that may or may not have seen a lot of traction, but have been really solid actions. This is the point at which it suddenly takes off into its own life. So, fun times. This transition, think about those simple choices and actions and physical things to bring into your environment that feel really grounding and solid, that have been things you've been ruminating for a while, that might also hold the energy of bigger magnificence of yourself. So like a big desk, you know, that's good and carved and really feels solid for you and feels like you're a king or a queen, right? That would be a really good choice. A color that really juices you on your walls. That would be a really good choice. Bigger pictures, talking to counselors or coaches or whatever who are really big visionary people might be a really good choice. Finding the 3, it's a really magic time, finding the 3 or 4 actions that sort of touch the outer edges of the energy that's big. So I hope that's not too abstract. It's very, you know, it's hard to translate the energy into words sometimes. So anyway, Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave any comments below in the comments below, or wherever you see this, wherever you can find comments. If this is on my YouTube channel that you're seeing it, just look at the side there and there's a place to subscribe. And that's it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.